Here you go. Under the strong pressure of long-term interest rate around the world, the Bank of Japan prevents the rise of long-term interest rate earnestly. So there is a perspective in Japan that if interest rate goes up, this will disturb economic activities and government financing. So it is a good policy. However, when we look at the Japanese government's estimated financial balance, it makes us realize that it is pretty natural that the interest rate goes up right after the commodity prices go up. So, at first glance, the financial policy of the Bank of Japan has been decided in defiance of the principle of economy in the world. So, world hedge funds are predicting that the interest rate restraint policy by the Bank of Japan will be unsustainable. So they are trying to sell the Japanese government bond futures aggressively. In contrast, the Bank of Japan is earnestly defending themselves from the attack of these hedge funds around the world. In the result, the Bank of Japan's purchase amount of government bonds are overwhelmingly expanding right now. But whether or not the rise of interest rates will bring the economic collapse all depends on the country's economic environment and financial support for borrowing companies. So it is really difficult to discuss this matter uniformly. As the past has already shown, the rise of the interest rates definitely brings the decline of stock prices, but it recovers the decline amount. So I think the easing policy by the Bank of Japan has succeeded in repayment support for individual debtors of housing loans and borrowing companies to some extent. But the rise of interest rate will largely give great impact on individual and corporate solvency in the Japanese society. So the point that the executives of the Bank of Japan emphasized is that current Japanese economy and current Japanese economic environment doesn't have the strength to endure the rise of interest rates. So in short, what the Bank of Japan wants to tell us is like if the government raises the interest rate to suppress inflation, we are going to be on the way to disaster because we don't have a stamina to endure the repayment with the rise of, interest rates. So the first thing we have to know is like Japanese economy was under deflation originally, and the increase in the commodity prices just caused by external factors that didn't enhance the domestic disposable income and remained commodity prices sluggish. So if the Bank of Japan changed the monetary easing policy drastically to the monetary tightening policy, deflation will be more and more accelerated in the Japanese economy. So there is no choice for the Bank of Japan to do policy change drastically in spite of, inflation economy in the world. So there is no way that they can resort to a drastic measure to apply the brakes to yen depreciation trend in the Japanese society. The only way to improve the current yen depreciation trend is to review the financial policy by the Japanese government. And the government should at least put profitability target of the primary balance on ice and expand domestic demands with fiscal stimulus, including tax reduction policy, because the Japanese market will be ready to accept the Bank of Japan's drastic policy change for the mid to long term to apply the brake to the yen depreciation trend in the Japanese market.